Hello everyone. Welcome to the Blockchain News Club. We talked about the news from Fox that is highlighting that Elizabeth Warren colluded with Gary Gensler ahead of a congressional hearing. She sent him the questions that she was going to ask him. We know Elizabeth Warren is a big-time crypto critic and skeptic. She's out there spreading FUD and false narratives. Even when actual facts are presented to her. She puts the FUD out there, and she is in collusion with Gary Gensler, and the fact that she was sending him her questions ahead of time, asking him if he was comfortable with those questions and also agreeing on the answers. Tell me what you're going to say and here's what you should respond, which is absolute corruption. They should be ashamed of themselves. Elizabeth Warren, she's a professional hypocrite. Gary Gensler is a corrupt regulator and he needs to resign and get kicked out of office. They do not represent the United States of America, and I'm going to play the clip here for those who haven't seen it yet.
All right, a bombshell report tonight about how Senator Elizabeth Warren, and her office coordinated testimony with the Securities and Exchange Commission ahead of a Senate hearing. The Heritage Foundation Oversight Project, of which I'm associated, through a FOIA request, obtained emails from Warren's office to the office of Chairman Gary Gensler 2 days before his Senate testimony back in September of 2021. The email from Warren's economic policy advisor includes a list of questions. Get this, a list of questions that Senator Warren planned to ask, along with suggested answers for the chairman of the SEC. The advisor also wrote, quote, "Let me know if you're okay with the questions as currently written." 2 days later, she sent a follow-up, quote, "Let me know if it's looking like the chair has any issue with the framing of the questions. Definitely don't want to put him in a tough spot," end quote. And it appears the chairman didn't have any issue with these questions because Senator Warren asked almost verbatim from the email. Check this out.
Chair Gensler, advocates say crypto markets are all about financial inclusion, but the people who are most economically vulnerable are the ones who are most likely to have to withdraw their money the fastest when the market drops. Does this sound like the path to financial inclusion to you?
Following this, billionaire investor Mark Cuban has lambasted the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission Chair Gary Gensler for the agency's unclear regulations, claiming they make it near impossible for crypto investors and businesspeople to get clarity from the regulator. He also warned that the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission will come up with rules for token registration that will be the nightmare that's waiting for the crypto industry. In response to a tweet by U.S. Senator Pat Toomey, who criticized the Securities and Exchange Commission for taking action against a former Coinbase employee after 9 crypto tokens were found to be securities, he gave the warning. The claim that Coinbase listed crypto securities was quickly denied by the company. Toomey said that the SEC's action is the perfect example of how and why the SEC has a clear opinion on how and why some tokens are securities. But the SEC didn't tell anyone what they thought before taking action. Cuban, who is worth about $4.7 billion, thinks that the SEC will come up with rules about how to register crypto tokens that will be a nightmare for the crypto industry. Think this is bad? He asked Toomey. Wait until you see what they think of for token registration. That's the nightmare the crypto industry is in for, the Shark Tank star wrote. How else can you keep tens of thousands of lawyers working and find reasons to ask for more money from taxpayers? Cuban's tweet includes a link to a YouTube video of him trying to send a no-action letter to the SEC to make sure that a stock purchase he is about to make won't break insider trading laws. But the billionaire showed that the process is very complicated and stressed that investors can't be sure that they won't break the law because of it. What I found even shocked me, Cuban wrote after doing what the SEC told him to do. Most no-action letters explain the request, look at the specific facts and circumstances, and talk about the laws and rules that apply, the SEC said on its website. The SEC staff would not recommend that the Commission take enforcement action against the requester based on the facts and representations described in the individual's or entity's request, if the request for no action is granted. Cuban has previously said that the SEC's approach to regulating the cryptocurrency market is too focused on enforcement. In August, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks criticized SEC Chairman Gary Gensler's focus on protecting investors. If you worked for investors, you would make it easy for investors and business people to ask and get answers to questions. You make it hard to do. Those who can't afford lawyers can only guess, he said. The SEC has recently been criticized for the way it enforces its rules in the crypto sector. Last week, U.S. Congressman Tom Emmer also criticized the SEC for going after companies that aren't in its area of responsibility. He said, under Chair Gensler, the SEC has become a power-hungry regulator that politicizes enforcement, entices companies to come in and talk to the Commission, then hits them with enforcement actions to discourage good faith cooperation. In a special interview with Mike Novogratz, Mark Cuban said that the SEC doesn't care about what's productive or not. Listen to this.
If you think about the Ripple lawsuit, right, that the SEC brought, basically saying Ripple issued a security that failed a Howey test. They had allowed that to operate literally for 4 or 5, 6 years. And then they sue the week before, Chairman Clayton is leaving. Just seems strange. And again, if there were rules that were clear, or if you were going to sue to sue, but before you let an entire ecosystem get built up and then sue, it just seemed to be so counterproductive.
The problem, the SEC doesn't care about what's productive or not.
Gary Gensler has been under severe criticism from the U.S. Congress. Crypto firms are finding the SEC review process to be more protracted, often grounded in up to hundreds of questions. The SEC's attack on our capital markets could cause the U.S. economy to collapse. It's very clear that Gary Gensler's radical agenda not only goes way beyond what he is allowed to do, but also puts our economic recovery at risk. Listen to this.
Fintech has gotten into payments. Startups have gotten into payments. We all know the story of China, that Alipay and WeChat Pay are dominant in the payment system. And yes, the central bank, the People's Bank of China, had to get their arms around it. And in Africa, in Kenya, Safaricom, a telephone company, got into the payment space. Now, what does this all mean to Facebook? Facebook has watched this and said, we want in as well. We want to do what Alipay or WeChat Pay or even any of these startups are doing in this space, because if you can get into payments, you can maybe get into credit. And if you get in payments and credit, you can start to make some of the profits that the financial sector has made.
After looking at this video, I think Gary Gensler is trying to get the SEC's arm around the fintech companies like the Chinese did. He has to be reminded that the US is not the same as China, and he cannot get his arm around private companies. Moving on, Ripple is making massive inroads into the CBDCs. Montenegro's first digital currency is being made with the help of Ripple. Dr. Deaton, who has been Montenegro's prime minister since April 28, 2022, recently talked about his meeting with 2 executives from the fintech company Ripple. Montenegro is a small country in the Balkans that is in southeastern Europe. Ivan Boskovic, who used to be the director of payment systems and financial technology at the Central Bank of Montenegro, wrote an article called Central Bank of Montenegro: How to Boost Banking and Payment Innovation in a Small Developing Economy for the Currency Research magazine on December 14, 2021. Boskovic wrote, "The transformation of existing conditions matters because it is a fundamental source of long-term growth. Financial services which rely on digital innovations are rapidly transforming markets, and this process has been accelerated by the COVID-19 pandemic. Many countries are now trying to catch up. Fostering innovation brings with it different challenges depending on the level of development, market size, or even the geographic position of a country. When compared to the frontrunners, small markets face barriers that are much more challenging than those found in advanced economies. However, some countries such as Singapore, Luxembourg, and Malta are among the frontrunners. Their visionary policies have paid off, and they are now treated as role models for many others. The key question is whether their success can be easily followed or copied. Small countries often lack the most basic requirements, such as physical and human capital, which becomes more acute as technology develops. Their authorities are struggling to support innovation, and in particular the accumulation of innovation capabilities. In order to design, implement, and coordinate an effective policy, policymakers must take into consideration everything that affects the accumulation of all types of capital, physical, human, and knowledge." He then talked about what the Central Bank of Montenegro is doing to implement innovations in digital payment. Anyway, on January 18, 2023, Montenegro's Prime Minister talked about his meeting with Ripple's CEO Brad Garlinghouse and VP for Central Bank Engagements and CBDC's James Wallace. Google's translation says that Dr. Abazovi told those who follow him on Twitter, "We discussed the development of a payment infrastructure that would provide greater financial accessibility and inclusion. Montenegro is open to new value and investments. In cooperation with Ripple and the central bank, we launched a pilot project to build the first digital currency or stablecoin for Montenegro. Ripple is also a member of the Digital Pound Foundation and continues to extend its efforts around CBDCs worldwide. Whales abruptly move over $150 million in XRP. Crypto whales are suddenly moving their stashes of XRP and Dogecoin, which are still behind Bitcoin. Whales with a lot of money have traded over $145 million worth of XRP tokens in the last 24 hours, when BTC was trading above $23,000. In one transaction, XRP is moved from one unknown wallet to another. In 3 other transactions, the 6th largest altcoin was moved between unknown crypto exchanges and wallets. 253.94 million XRP worth $103.64 million transferred from wallet of unknown origin to another wallet of unknown origin. 39.5 million XRP worth $16.20 million transferred from crypto exchange Bitso to wallet on unknown origin. 33 million XRP worth $13.65 million transferred from wallet of unknown origin to crypto exchange Bitstamp. 30 million XRP worth $12.40 million transferred from wallet of unknown origin to Bitso. At the time of recording, XRP is being traded for 41 cents, which is the same as the day before. After starting the year at 33 cents, the payment network is still up 22%. Even with the rise this year, XRP is still down about 88% from its all-time high in January 2018. Ripple Pro lawyer John Deaton's crypto prediction sparks concern. John Deaton, who started crypto law, thinks that the last and most aggressive push to shut down crypto could happen soon after the White House made a statement about reducing the risks of cryptocurrencies. We will soon witness the final and most aggressive push to shut down crypto, Deaton wrote. On January 27, the White House put out a statement called the administration's roadmap to mitigate cryptocurrency risks. The statement says, "We've spent the last year figuring out what the risks of cryptocurrencies are and what the executive branch can do to deal with them. The administration's advice on legislation told the U.S. Congress that it needed to do more. For instance, Congress should give regulators more power to stop misusing customers' assets, which hurts investors and messes up prices, and to reduce conflicts of interest," the document said. Even while there are many grounds in support of Ripple's success, the result of the legal fight with the XRP community remains on a knife's edge. The final ruling, in this case, is eagerly awaited by not just the crypto community but also the financial industry, as it can significantly impact how digital assets will be regulated and treated in the future. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for regular updates in the blockchain community.